Well, hello. We are here on location in sunny and sweltering Las Vegas, and I'm joined here by Maurice Jenkins, who is Head of Digital Strategy and Chief Innovation Officer of Miami International Airport. Maurice, thank you so much for joining me.
Holly, it's always a pleasure. Good to see you again.
Now, I wanted to begin with congratulating you on your new job title. Until recently, you were Director of IT and Telecommunications, which sounds so 80s. So what does this mean, this modern job title, what does it mean for you, and has your role actually changed?
It means several things, and right now I'm still pulling some double duty as we're putting it all together, but in trying to transform industry, we need to look and change our focus on our direction. We have to have the ability to be able to pivot from how we're conducting business today. So leaving the role of being head of IT and telecommunications, dealing with the day-to-day traditional IT levels of engagement is what that position entails, but in a robust environment. And it's truly challenging the way it is as it stands. But looking at the new role, it's having the ability to engage more on the innovative concepts of bringing more value add on the customer experience side. More value add within the airport framework that we can actually truly deliver on those services and those additional levels of value, just as we try to transform industry. So now there's a more direct focus dealing with this whole landscape and engaging more with our business partners than ever before, and just working towards effectuating change.
And in May 2022, the Miami-Dade County Board of Commissioners approved an agreement to implement biometric boarding at all of your 130 plus gates. And when finished, this will make it the largest implementation of biometric technology in the US. Hugely exciting. How is that actually going?
It's going well. We're working on the design and working towards moving forward with implementation. Our goal is to have this finalized in 2023. We're sitting this morning as CBP and TSA. We're having some discussions on identity management and credentialing and where that's moving in the industry today. We do have some requirements to get some items taken care of by October of this year, of 2022. So our goal is to be able to meet that requirement, and then from there continue to roll out throughout our footprint. The challenge that we have in making this happen is the footprint of all of our gates are different. So there's no unique cookie cutter approach that we can actually take towards making that happen. So there's more coordination, facilitation that's going to be required with our business partners, especially with our airlines and our other regulatory bodies, and just try to not disrupt day-to-day workflow in making that happen, but they also want uniformity and continuity as well. You don't want to do a combination of a gate, of 2-lane gate, a 3-lane gate, maybe a face pod, and working through all of that. So that's going to be a challenge of putting that together, ensuring that it's seamless. And then on top of that, as the traveling public, they're seeing these devices being rolled out, having that visualization of, okay, what is this? What's going to happen when this gets rolled out? And how do we go about making that happen and that level of utilization? Right? So that has to occur as well. So there's going to be a learning curve in the teaching aspect that's going to come along with it. So it's moving, and the process itself, we adjusted our schedule in making that happen, and it will be a methodical approach to getting it rolled out. We want to make sure with such a large rollout that we do it right first.
And are all of your airlines on board with this? Or is it a select few?
Currently, I had an opportunity to brief the airlines several months ago that this was coming forward. It was well received with much fanfare. There were some questions in regards to types of gates and so forth. But one of the things that we're doing with them as strong business partners as they are is, as we finish our final design and quantities and layouts, is coming back to them and finalizing that with them as to, let's say, an Air France will have X, Y, and Z for their gate. British Airways will have X, Y, and Z. And so forth, and Lufthansa, American, et cetera, to ensure that what we're deploying in those locations fits their business needs. So that has to truly go into taking that into consideration as well. You don't want to do a one-off that doesn't fit the business requirement, the business need of the carrier. So we want to make sure we do that well as integrating the processes in regards to making it a one-step process for boarding as well, not just biometric, but using it for an end-to-end.
And during your trials, what benefits have you seen? Do you have any statistics you can report back on?
When we did the trials, and it's a great question, and from a success ratio portion, several of our carriers reported, I think, one in boarding in A380 was like under 15 minutes or so, somewhere around there. Great positive feedback from a user acceptance perspective. We did have some learning curves as well, which is great that while we did the trials. Simply enough, non-technical issues, but more so in some of the concourses, very large open areas similar to where we are today, that brings in a lot of sunlight. Cameras themselves in sunlight creates a little bit of a problem, so we had to make some adjustments, tinting windows, looking at the footprint of the gates to ensure passengers with restricted mobility, to make sure they have ample access as well, looking at size, dimensions, footprint, security. So several things actually came out of that, which allowed us to actually, when we revised our tender process, to ensure that we were going to get the best bang for our dollar to be able to meet the needs of the airline.
Who actually owns the data in this kind of?
Another great question, and that's always been a concern on regards to data and data privacy, right? But realizing one thing, the data as it sits today, and that process, and I want your audience to be able to embrace Customs and Border Protection, so they know the Homeland Security, they have what's called the TVS, which is the Transportation Verification System. There's a gallery that is maintained of each flight and each individual boarding that international flight. Within that gallery, all we're doing is taking that data that's being provided by CBP, matching that against your credentials to ensure a positive match to be able to go ahead and grant you or deny you access to board that aircraft. After that process is completed and that flight is closed, that is it. The airport itself is not holding the data. It's a pass-through for us. We don't control anything that happens with that data. However, the traveling public should be aware and have that discussion with Homeland Security and CBP about that flow. I think American passengers, U.S. passengers, normally once that flight is closed and taken care of, I believe within a couple of hours that gather that information is gone. For international passengers, I believe it's not a little while longer, but that information is also subsequently removed. So then you're starting all over again from scratch. Now, as we're looking at future-proofing what we may want to do with this next level of integration, let's say for domestic travel, the same principles are also apply. We want to ensure for the passenger comfort, passenger safety, that all of these measures are taken into consideration. But I would urge the audience to ask those questions and look at those processes. Everywhere that we're dealing within the industry, data is being shared across multiple platforms outside of the aviation space. And they should realize they're doing the same. There's nothing that's different, but our goal is to ensure your safety and your security as you move through our system.
I understand when enrolling for biometrics, you would do so through a mobile phone or perhaps a kiosk.
Oh, it's either or. Currently, right now, you'll do it through a kiosk. We've seen some levels of innovation out there by which you can do it through a mobile device. There's several trials sitting out there with several carriers that have done through a mobile device. So what we'll be looking at as we grow this biometric initiative is working on additional use cases with our vendor community and see what else is out there that it's not one size fits all, but as long as we're offering multiple opportunities to achieve the end product, so to speak, we want to have the ability to be as agile as we possibly can.
Now, I understand biometrics is one cog in the wheel of your wider kind of seamless travel strategies. So talk to me about the wider vision within seamless and touchless passenger journeys.
At the end of the day, we've looked at so many things and we've been having these conversations for so long that how do we improve the passenger experience? How do we transform our industry? In 2022, we're still conducting business similar to how we were doing it for the last 15 or 20 years. You still have a driver's license, you still have a boarding pass, you still have all of these. Your hands are filled with these devices, and these
standing like this, I was like,
that you need to be
stop
able to
looking at me like that.
You challenge yourself with. So how do we mitigate that and therefore enhance the experience? So for us, is as the more we can roll out more innovation, biometrics, more tech, then that broader base engagement should be: can I use it for purchasing? Can I use it for self-badging? Can I use it for lounge access? Somewhere along the line, because someone mentioned this morning, what they call walking speed. And it resonated well. So you should be able to move through our airport as you would move through a bus terminal or a train station. So how can you do that and ensure that you're safe and secure, but you just have that flow process and you're uninhibited? And I think that's the part that we need to work on.
Now, the population in general, as well as passengers, are incredibly reliant on their mobile phones. So how is MIA catering to this addiction?
Oh, we do have our mobile app, and we have another one that's being used for mobile food ordering, etc. But anything that we can actually use to engage, to reach out to our customer base, we do it through our mobile app where possible. We're listening to what our passengers and what our customers have to say, what they would like to see. And we'll look to then add those more ancillary type services to our app. So within that, we're listening. So for us now, we have mobile passport control. We leverage that with CDP. We're going to be doing some other things with the mobile app in regards to our parking garages, so you can actually reserve parking, and several other facets. So the more we look at customer sentiment, what can we add to this ecosystem, we're going to look to leverage that with the mobile.
Talk to me about the digital passenger experience, the wider experience for this.
It's going to grow, and I think digital is what we need to understand when we define digital is this framework and this footprint for how we provide services and how we engage the traveling public, how we engage our stakeholder community. We need to be in that mindset of transformation. And if we don't transform, the industry is going to make us transform. And if we're not prepared to do so, you run the risk of also being unprepared. But this is a very competitive environment as well, and it's also a very challenging environment. So it's a constant change for us that we need to make sure that we're flexible enough and agile enough to be able to flow and be able to.
So would you say it's a case of digitize or die?
I used to say update or evaporate, so I would say digitize or die. It's rare and true to form.
Yeah.
Yes.
So tell me, how do you collaborate with your sustainability department? What are you currently working on?
Currently, we're having some more discussions now, just looking at resiliency and sustainability. It's actually tying that into the framework of our airport. It's growing. The county and our senior administrators are very strong on sustainability. So they've created new subgroups and forums and just having regular discussions of what does the entire ecosystem of government looks like. And the transportation vertical as well, putting all of that together and finding those touch points and tying everything into resiliency. So we're seeing it now that it's new. It's not the new buzzword, it's not the new panacea, but it's worthy of the conversation, and I believe it's become or will be more mainstream now than it has been. So I think you can look forward to seeing some reports actually from a sustainability perspective, stronger presence, more engagement, and I think you're going to see some more value add. So I think it's more to come.
And do you work with startups, other airports, or even other sectors?
One of the things now with this new role that I've taken on, the intent is to be able to look at local colleges and universities and having those discussions. I've begun that to reach out to a few. With this conference that we're sitting here now in Las Vegas.
Where are we in the world?
Where are we in the world? It's not like common San Diego. Where in the world? But yes. But they have what's called a startup hub. And mine is proud to be part of that startup hub. We have subscribed, and we've seen several entities and several companies have the opportunity to actually look and see what that vision and what that mindset is and what the product is that they're bringing to market. And there's some viability. So our goal and intent is to reach out to as many as possible, engage with them, and see what they can actually bring to the forefront. And on top of that, one of the things that we're also working on creating at the airport is a center of excellence, and being able to engage with startups and local businesses as well as other entities in the industry, and just get a little at how creative can we be to come up with new levels of innovation to apply to our ecosystem.
So when will this centre of excellence be open?
Well, it's being worked on. It's not far in the future, but it's relatively soon. So it'll be coming. So stay tuned.
And I understand if you're engaging with universities, it's part of the whole piece of mobilising the next generation, getting them interested. hopefully employing them in the future?
That would be great,
Yeah.
because we had a discussion not long ago with some other colleagues that it's as a lot of, I think, colleagues are just actually right-sizing out of industry. We're not getting that much of engaged with young talent to be able to infuse that into our ecosystem. Other markets seem to be doing well, but then some aren't. So it's kind of hard to say, how do you make aviation look sexy? So it's internships, it's engagements, it's getting out to the local colleges and universities, talking about aviation and the impact it has on the economy, on the industry, how well the jobs pay, all of these things, just to be able to create our future leaders is something that we owe to the community. And I think all of our efforts are seeing the same thing and coming up with other strategic ways to address that. But that should be on the forefront of a lot of people's minds. So by doing this and being able to reach out, I think it's going to give us a larger talent pool as time progresses to be able to work with, to continue, here we go again on sustainability, to be able to sustain ourselves going into the future.
Yes, someone from the industry said that we've lost our glamour and edge as an industry. Would you agree with that?
It's not as sexy as it once was, and I think so. Just when we were young growing up, when you jumped on a plane, you got dressed up because going to the airport was just the best thing ever. Watching planes take off and land was the best. And now I can't say it's commonplace, but that value proposition doesn't seem to be there. And how did it lose its luster? I don't know. Can we bring it back? Definitely. Everything is cyclical in my book. So we owe it to do something to bring it back. Glorify it as it should.
I have to say, on my flight from Phoenix to Las Vegas, I was sitting next to a girl and she was getting so excited about when we were taking off.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell if she was really happy or if she was crying.
Yeah.
And I said, wow, I have to say I've never been sitting next to someone who was so excited about takeoff. And she said, well, it's my first flight ever. And I was like, I was really excited to be sitting next to her on her first experience in air travel.
Wow.
It was nice to see.
And it is. And we realize one thing is that I think the last statistics that came out, I think 60% of people who are traveling are first-time travelers. Oh, maybe we need to do a first-time travel program.
Yeah.
It's like, what can you look forward to your experience? I think some of the airports used to do little tours for kids and give them a walk through an airplane who may never been in an aircraft before, maybe push back and taxi around and come back and feel with an aircraft. Who knows? But I think there's things that we used to do, and I think when you're younger and you told the pilot it was your first flight, the pilot would probably come and give you a pair of wings or something, and you embraced it, right? Like, wow, I want to fly again. I want to jump in an airplane again. But there's just something that we need to do. But I think we owe it to just get out there and advertise it and talk about it. More commercials and promotions and programs, understanding that as you're traveling is an experience. It should not be one of being scared or being inhibited or to the point where it's find the ample word that it is obtrusive. Because I see people that come to the airport, I have to wait in a long line to check out. I have to wait in long queue lines for TSA. I have to do all these things. So we need to listen to that. If we are able to mitigate these inhibitions, would that ease your sense of feel and comfort to want to then fly? If the answer is yes, then there's some things that we need to work on. Then how do we improve upon the experience to continue that? And then just continue to perpetuate it. And that first time flight, it's like, right, I've heard so many great things, and I want that first time experience to be. But bear in mind one thing, you need everybody to get in the ecosystem and make that work. If you have a great parking experience, I know how to find a parking space and park. I know how to move to the airport, check-in was seamless. I went through the security checkpoint, like, fine and dandy. You get on the aircraft, the door closes, and your experience of aircraft. I don't know, no one offered you a drink or a beverage. Somewhere along the line, so now that just changed the whole journey. And I've seen it happen. Your great experience up until this point. So where does the experience end when you get to your hotel? You want to make sure that seamless end-to-end, what we're talking about, that facility is you need to be able to connect the dots all to one point. And then when does that experience factor supposed to end? to say yes, my flight.
It's like you said in a recent article with us, otherwise people take to social media, they hang you out to dry, they tag you and everything.
And that's the lesson that you want. You know the adage is, when I do something right, then if I do something wrong, I forget. And that's the constant variable that we deal with. And we can't afford to get it wrong.
So, what is on your innovation agenda for 2023?
For us, it's going to be, let's roll out some more projects. For us, right now, we're going to be trialing virtual queuing shortly in upcoming weeks.
On security or
Well, the
beverage outlets?
virtual queuing itself, so basically reserve a spot in the queuing line rather than setting in queuing at TSA. Looking at self-backdrop. Within some trials with two of our carriers. Then with that, looking at, I think loyalty is going to be one, being able to engage that back out with our engagement with our customer experience. So there's several facets that we're looking at, as well as looking at other various forms. And when we talk about innovation, it doesn't have to be tech related. There could be process improvements that your team can benefit as well. So I'm looking at that. And then we're working on the innovation program. So we're going to be teaching that mindset and culture of innovation. So we can work towards embracing that within the framework of our management team and staff. So we can also think along those lines.
No, I agree.
But a lot of those processes can come internally as well. So if you have the opportunity to improve upon something that's innovative within itself, and it's worth talking about it, we're going to be able to engage. So those are some of the things we want to be working on.
And what are you most excited for in 2023?
That I get to do one job rather than three.
Famous last words.
Famous last words. But I got the funniest feeling I don't think it's going to change too much. It's too dynamic, it's evolutionary, it's changing, so we need to, and I tell individuals, for us, we need to be as agile as possible and be prepared to pivot, change when necessary. Our industry is dynamic. It's going to continue to grow, and the demands are going to come. They're going to come from all over, and we need to be prepared to build for time.
Maurice, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you as always.
Always, yes. Always, it's been a pleasure, and look forward to the next time.
Thank you.